Hey, Spirit, you made it. Welcome to the live. We're going to be talking about Psalms 23. And just for reference, I am using a King James version, which some of it, the wording is a bit, harder. It's definitely Shakespearean, but we'll go from there. I also have access to an NLT, New Living Translation, if we need, but I'm going to go line by line on what each one of the, basically each verse, and we'll just kind of cover that, but I'm going to give it a couple of minutes before we get started. That way everybody can kind of file in. Welcome, as people are getting in and settled. You'll see by the pinned comment, we are going to be going over Psalms 23, which actually is not very long. So hopefully we will be able to cover that within a decent amount of time, because I am going to go to church after this, not for service, but I've got to drop something off for my pastor. So we're not going to be here for too awfully long. Welcome, Walker. I'm not going to say all those numbers after your name, but welcome. So again, I'm going to be using King James. We're going to be going over Psalms 23. And then we're going to dissect it line by line. So while we're waiting, I guess I'll just chit-chat. How's everybody doing? Anything new? Any questions you have about anything else we've covered, so we can kill some time? You should look at this. I know I posted on my story, but I went to town on the highlighter and the notes. This Bible does not have the space to write in. Some of them that you can get have the larger margins, but this one is so tiny, and I've written upside down and sideways and all over the place. I think I've done that in other sections. This Bible has a section, it's got these glossy parts that kind of give you, it's a study Bible is essentially what it is, but you'd think with a study Bible that it would give you bigger margins. So I've got these little cards that I stick in if I want to add anything else. And I've also got this book that I've been using. I got it at Walmart because I'm redneck like that, but it is it says Bible charts, maps, and timelines, and that's what I use a lot, or have been using, because it's got kind of a breakdown. It's got a breakdown of Psalms on it, and then it's got other stuff. It actually has legit maps in here too, and timelines and stuff, so it's pretty cool. GK Worship says, do you attend an affirming church, and is this an LGBTQI friendly Bible study? Yes. So in two parts, I'll answer your first question. Yes, I attend a fully affirming church. It is Landmark Free Holiness Church, which QCFB is partnered with. They are our home church, and the pastor's gay. A majority of the members are LGBT. QCFV actually stands for Queer Christian Family Values, and it is a fully affirming LGBTQ plus inclusive group. And we have private chat groups, we've got Facebook groups, we've got all kinds of stuff out there. We've got a website, it's queerchristianfamilyvalues.com, and that's what we're about. So we are fully affirming and inclusive. We just want to spread that God's message of love, and that Jesus Christ welcomes everybody at the table, no matter who we love, no matter how we identify. We are all loved and affirmed here. Unfortunately, we don't live in a world where everybody thinks that way, which is unfortunate, and that is kind of what this ministry is about, to change that. I myself am a trans man. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Sounds amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a queer trans man. You'll sometimes hear myself identify or just say I'm gay or bi or pan, whatever. Queer is probably the easiest thing to not box myself in, but I am a trans man, married to another trans man. Chris is our editor. He's downstairs playing video games right now while I'm doing this, so he's more introverted out of the two of us. So, now that everybody has rolled on in, I'll go ahead and get started, and then obviously I'll stay on afterwards and we can just kind of chit-chat, questions, personal stuff, anything really. And I will also try to upload this to YouTube. Speaking of, we are going to be doing a lot more vlogs on there, personal stuff. And we have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/QCFV, you'll be able to go on there and get some extra stuff as well. Spirit says, oh, quick fun story. My trans friend's LA teacher, I'm assuming that's language teacher, is also trans and gave him a trans pin. Oh, that's really cool. See, I love hearing that we're being able to be out and proud and not have to hide in the shadows anymore. Obviously you have to keep your safety in mind, but it's wonderful to hear that people are able to actually be out and work and everything. By the way, do you like my Snuggie? It is the Harry Potter, Gryffindor, whatever you want to call it, Snuggie. I figured y'all would appreciate that. I've actually had this for, I don't even know, years and years and years before Chris and I even... Actually, I think Chris got this for me when we were dating. So, 7+ years ago. No, we've actually been together 9 years this December. So it's probably 8 years ago that he got this. So anyway, rambling. All right. So we're going to be talking about Psalms 23. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it, and then I'll go line by line, and then we'll kind of go from there. So King James, here we go. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oils, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So, Psalms 23 is a very, very popular, and for good reason. It's very beautifully stated. The words flow. I wish I read Hebrew, because I can only imagine how much more of a beauty this would be poetically in its original language. But it encompasses kind of what God is for us. Yes, amen. So it does encompass everything that God is for us. He's our protector, and they use sheep as a way to better give you a visual representation of what God is to us. But granted, most of us that are watching are probably not farmers or herdsmen or deal with sheep at all. So I dived a little bit more into this chapter, this passages, into kind of why they chose sheep to depict Psalms, and rather than anything else that they could have used. Funny enough, the portrayal of sheep is actually very common in the Old Testament, and then later on Jesus is also shown as a shepherd. But kings were actually commonly referred to as shepherds because they were shepherding their nation. They were chosen by God to save their people and to keep everything, okay. So we're going to go line by line on what this study book is saying each line represents, and then I guess we'll just talk about it. And feel free to pop up in the chat, and I will try to look up periodically so that we can kind of discuss any questions or any comments that you may have. But the first thing that they go through is the very, very first line. So chapter 23, verse 1, it says, "The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want." So the Lord is my shepherd. Sheep are able to recognize their shepherd. Care for sheep means ownership of them. So just identifying who is the master and who is the follower is essentially what this is doing. I shall not want is sheep may wander off and in search of greener pasture, and they can become prey for predators and different things like that. And so he's saying that if you follow your master, follow your shepherd, then you're not going to have to worry about being in danger by anything else. You're not going to have to be worried about being preyed upon or being put in danger. Let's see. He makes me... I'm going to read the NLT. It's easier. He makes me lie down in green pasture. So sheep are not able to rest unless they're free from conflict with other sheep and predators and pests and hunger. So the shepherd responsibility is protection, and it's crucial for a sheep to be able to actually rest and sleep, is they need to be able to trust their shepherd for their ability to rest and actually take a moment to just be still. And that goes into the next one. He leads me beside quiet water. So sheep actually, when you look at them, or if you have ever had experience with them, sheep will actually not drink from water that's moving too fast, like a fast stream, because they actually can't swim. What actually happens is if they get into the water, and their coat will actually absorb the water so much it'll actually cause them to be too heavy and dense. Do you know of any translation of the Bible that is queer affirming? Sorry, slightly off topic. Yeah, sadly, we read translations that are translations. And we've actually added words that were never meant to be, like pederastes, malakoi, arsenikoi, different things like that. There is on Amazon, it is QJV. It stands for Queen James Version, QJV, and it's got a rainbow cross on it, but just type in affirming Bibles or LGBT affirming Bibles or something, and you'll find that on Amazon. There's a couple different ones. I've actually thought about getting it, and it... Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Yeah, because King James was actually notoriously bisexual or gay himself, and in court, supposedly, he was known as Queen James instead of King James, and so they named the Bible after him. Obviously, it's a newer... it's within our century that it's been created, and all they do is... everything's the same. All they do is they go back to the terms that are used as homosexual in the Bible, which was added in the 1900s, but I don't want to get into that. But they go back and they add arsenikoi and malakoi to replace those. So yeah, I would definitely go after that. It is very funny. When I first saw it, I was like, wait a minute, is this real? And the one that I saw, the one with the rainbow cross, it is huge. It's literally this big, not thickness, but just size-wise for representation. So it's rather large, but there's a couple different kinds on there, but that's pretty much all they do, is they just put the original Greek translation back to it, and it's pretty much affirming. They don't change anything except for that. Yeah, I like the bigger ones too. Yes, I carry smaller ones when I go to church or whatever, but when I want to sit down and actively study scripture, I like having a bigger book, so that's nice. All right, water, we're on that. Hello, welcome. So we're reading Psalms 23 for those that are just joining us. Right now we are... Where are we at? Waters. What? We're on, we're just finishing up verse 2. We just read the whole thing, and now we're finishing up verse 2. So, he leads me beside quiet waters. We talked about how sheep can drown because they won't drink out of fast streams because there's a possibility that they're going to drown. So it is a shepherd's job to make sure that the water that they lead them to drink out of is still water so that they can actually get refreshment. He restores my soul is another one I want to look at. Sheep may become cast, is what they call it, C-A-S-T, which is stuck on their back, and they're not able to get themselves upright. And so sheep could struggle in the hot summer sun, become dehydrated, and become subject to prey, wild animals, and so the shepherd's job is to help them stand up again. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that about the water. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I had no clue because I've grown up in the city. Well, people don't consider where I live a city, but around here, I grew up in the city. I've never really grown up around a farm or anything where I've dealt with much livestock at all, let alone sheep. So I had no idea about the whole, drowning and different things like that. Alrighty. So the next one is, he guides me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. So sheep are creatures of habit. They can actually overgraze in their pastures, and then they'll actually destroy their own, area. Where did you find all this out? Actually, so there's a couple different places. I was using this study book, specifically, Bible Charts, Maps, and Timelines. It's called Rose Books. They actually make quite a few different books for Bible study, but then I also cross-referenced a lot of this on Google because I don't want to just take one source for everything, but if you just type in context of Psalm or Psalms explained, then you can kind of get a little bit more there, but this book is really, really good. I think you can go to rose-publishing.com and find it. But this book was at Walmart. That's where I bought it. Gotta love Google. Yes, I use Google a lot for most of these Bible studies anyway. So anyway, we talked about sheep being creatures of habit, so they will overgraze and destroy their pastures, and so the shepherd actually has to take them to a new pasture if, once it starts getting depleted. And so the shepherd, obviously knows when the best one is, and so they lead them to better pastures. Hence, he guides me in paths of righteousness for his faith's namesake. So he's talking about guiding them. Hello, Cashman Barry. Welcome to the chat. We're talking about Psalms 23. Then the next one that we want to talk about verse-wise, it says, even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. So in context of sheep, when they're leading them to the shepherd's leading them to new pastures, if they're going through mountains, the valleys in between the mountains, way high up often have the best kind of grass, but the sheep have, the shepherd has to be careful because the sheep, if they start grazing, it is very likely that they're going to get injured, fall to their death, other potential hazards. So hence, I will walk through the valley of shadow of death. I will fear no evil, for you are with me. All right. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So shepherds, when they are dealing with their flock, they have like a rod thing, and it kind of just, it guides them, pushes them out of way. Also, it clears paths. It's a tool. And sheeps need to learn to trust their shepherd. It protects and disciplines, and the rod is what they're referring to, and it guides and saves. So that is where that's referencing. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The next bit, it says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Often shepherds must prepare the pasture to remove like poisonous snakes, plants, anything that's going to potentially be hazardous for, the sheep. And let's see. And it says predators often wait at the margins of the table for a chance to attack. So they have to go around the perimeter and clear out anything that's going to potentially attack them. And in reference to like a table, if people are sitting around a table, God is going to make sure that his table is clear of anything that's going to attack you. You anoint my head with oil. This I had no clue about, but shepherds would put oil on their sheep because it actually was a natural bug repellent. And so it's saying you anoint my head with oil, and it's going to repel pests and things that are going to be harmful for you or annoy you or distract you. And then we've got two more things. It says, surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life. This is talking about how sheep, when we're going back and referencing sheep, they can actually aid in fertility of the land that they're in, transforming wilderness into like a parkland, fertile lands, and good shepherds make sure that, good things follow their flock, because obviously if the land is like desolate every time they leave, then they're not going to have any more land to go back to eventually. And so he's going to make sure that blessings do follow you as you go. And then the last one, it says, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So whenever, at the end of spring and summer, during, fall and winter, the shepherd actually takes the sheep back to his property or her property, but in this time it would have been a man, back to his property for the rest of the time period during the cold, during the dead months. And so you're going to dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And I find the whole idea of comparing God to a shepherd and then understanding more about the sheep aspect of things, it really gives you more of a context of understanding what David is saying in this poetry that he wrote of why we're sheep following the Lord, because he's our protector, our guide, our provider. He's going to make sure that we're taken care of no matter what. Sheep are costly, and yes, they're property in a sense, but they're worth a lot, especially to shepherds. That's their livelihood, so they're going to make sure that they're completely taken care of no matter what. God provides, as a shepherd, provides every need. God restores our soul. He attends to our inner spiritual needs. Guidance is an essential role of ancient shepherds, and so that's what God is doing for us. And this is a point on my Bible that I highlighted. It says, the safety of the sheep reflects the reputation of the shepherd. So God is going to take care of us, and we know God's reputation because our acts, when they go back to the fruit, we showcase God by how we interact with those around us. So as a Christian, we need to make sure that we are helping others, being kind, no matter if they believe differently from us, act differently. We need to always be kind and loving, and that does not mean telling them that they're constantly condemned to hell, because people in the LGBT community get that all the time, and we don't need to automatically go and attack people just because they're different. We need to show grace and mercy just as Jesus did when he had dinner with, the tax collector and all the sinners at the table. He was not trying to yell at them or try to lecture them when he was there. He was simply there to be with them. And when the Pharisees came and they're like, we're better, we're not sinning, we're following all your laws, why are you going and having dinner with all of these, desolates? And he's like, I'm not here for you, apparently, because you apparently have everything right. I'm here for those that need me, whether they know it or not. And that's what I think we need to be as Christians, is we need to showcase God's mercy and love and just be there for others, even if they don't believe like us, or even if they're angry or hurt or anything like that, that's going to push that's push them away from God. We need to showcase that we're not going to push them away. We're not going to tell them they're horrible people. None of us deserve God's grace. None of us could possibly ever accomplish everything that was listed in the Old Testament that we needed to follow. There's just absolutely no way that we could have followed all of that. And that's why Christ came, because he knew that humankind, we were flawed, but at the end of the day, we were loved so much by our Creator that his son died for us. He died for us. So that is my stance. That is how I feel about the Lord. And then we're just went over Psalms. Do you have any questions before I end the live stream? Anything that you wanted to go over? Make sure you check out our Patreon because we've got a lot of special stuff on there. We've got sneak peeks of our photo shoot. Actually, it's the entire photo shoot is listed on our Patreon, and it's patreon.com/QCFV. So that stands for Queer Christian Family Values. Patreon.com/QCFV. Yeah, I think you're the only one left too, Spirit. That's okay. I'm actually going to put this on YouTube so others can watch it back. You asked me earlier, about your question. So yeah, I think that sums it up. I will let you go, and I will post this later on YouTube. I may not do it immediately, but just keep an eye out for it. Make sure you subscribe. Type in QCFV or Queer Christian Family Values on YouTube, and you can get it. Do you think you could do a live about what? Denomination differences. Yeah, I know I sent you a link about the different kind of layouts, but yeah, I don't see a problem with going over. Actually, I'll make a note. I'll see if I can do that on the next live. Next live. And obviously, I'm going to have to put like a note or something that says, now this is just what I've seen and researched. Every denomination is different, and depending on the church you go to, it could also vary. But yeah, I don't have a problem with talking about that on the next live. I will have to do some research, but I would happily do that. I actually would love to talk about Quakers. They are a Christian denomination, but we don't talk about them at all, and they're actually more common in England, I believe. But I would love to talk about Quakers because they've actually been LGBTQ plus affirming for a really, really long time, even before anybody else. I follow a YouTuber that is a Quaker, and she's been, obviously she's been out as gay since she was very, very young, and her parents are like, all right, cool, whatever. Everybody in the church is like, all right, whatever. Since we did a Quaker song and chorus, that would be really cool. So I'm going to go to let everybody go, and I will see you in the next live, which I guess we're just going to talk about the different types of denominations and what makes them unique, what makes them similar, and we can go over that. I will make this visible on Instagram for the next 24 hours, and I'll also upload it to YouTube. I'm going to stop plugging all the stuff. Links are all in our bio, so I will go ahead and let y'all go. Y'all have a good night. Bye.